Welcome to my humble little office. My name is R. Keith Andrews. I am a spiritual guide and paranormal adept. The journey continues today on February 22nd, 2023, at approximately 4:28 p.m. PST. Now, I returned to this world for one primary purpose, and that is to remind people that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. I bill myself as a spiritual guide because the tools I offer are the exact same tools I personally work with. And the philosophies of life are the philosophies I actually live by. Okay, now, today we are going to be looking at healing modalities and the way they actually interact with each other. So let's start off, and I believe if we scroll back up here, we have Philip coming in with the gold, Kimberly in right behind him with the silver. Joe, you've managed to come through with the bronze. And we just had Spooky, you're in with the honorable mention today. Welcome, guys. And by the way, in case you hadn't figured out, guys, gals, you're all the same. You're all the same from the conference, from the communication side. Yeah, obviously there's a difference. But when we start looking at the healing modalities, do I know all the ins and outs of all of them? Absolutely not. I barely know the names of most of them, of many of them anyway. But what I can tell you in respect to that is that when we are looking at the healing modalities, okay, I love the way it was put in Doctor Strange. Okay, when he first started on the journey to becoming a master, the Sorcerer Supreme, where it pointed out that if you look at the chakras, the MRIs, the nerve clusters, reflexology, your reflexology, your CT scans, and then you start looking at the auras, and we look at things like energy healing, pranic healing. You start looking at the healing touch. All of these things, okay, are all just a small picture of the whole thing. Okay, which is where this whole idea of of actual true healing comes in. It all works together. The belief that you can heal or the belief that you can't is absolutely imperative to get straight in your own head. Okay, because whether you believe you'll heal or you believe you won't, in either event, the odds are you're going to be correct. Okay, now I will tell you, I use and of course I forgot that neat little thing called chiropractic. And of course, your circulatory system, if you really desire to heal in a hurry, you've got to let yourself accept the fact that all of these different methods are compatible. They are not independent. They are not independent of each other. Okay. Now, I've shown you in the past about the issue of taking your hands and focusing and putting them only, a quarter inch apart and feeling that energy. That is your healing energy. Okay. That is the side of the biomagnetic field that is used to make all of this possible. Now, the other thing you have to remember here is that when you're looking at the nerve relays, people talk about the nervous system and your nerves don't regenerate. Well, the funny part there is I won't say one way or the other whether I believe that part, but I will tell you this. If the nerves are not working right, you can reprogram the cells around them to act as nerves. Okay. It's very much along the same lines as you don't only pick up optical information through the eyes, you pick up optical emanation through the back of the head. Hence the term the eyes in the back of the head. You literally pick up a lot of your information straight through the contact on the skin, leading straight into the cerebral cortex. into that actual processor that lets you understand what you're doing. Now, once you come to accept, not understand, but accept the fact that you can actually put your body together. Okay. Yes, it does require help, not the least of which I know what I've said about the pharmaceutical company. I'm not going to blame them for what they do. Well, I'll blame them for what they do. They're doing it. But am I going to hold it against them? Absolutely not. Okay. Because they come right out and tell you this is what it'll do to help you, and here's a whole stack of things it'll do to kill you. Please buy it. Well, I'm telling you, if I come out, there's people that'll tell you if it's not natural, it's not real. It's not safe. Well, or worse, if it is natural, it's perfectly safe. Bad news, arsenic is a natural toxin. So are many of the plants out there. They are natural plants. This does not mean they're healthy. Okay. That's the biggest thing we have to look at. And Shadow, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Oh, right there. Nope, not there. What'd I do with it? Put it someplace out of reach, apparently. Nope. Been working on a number of them all at the same time here, Shadow. These are obviously they are, your angel type setup. Okay. But these ones, the reason they're black-winged is because of they are the warrior class of the Angelus race. And yeah, I decided I was going to do them all at the same time. As a matter of fact, I've got the black right here to do so. Okay. As you know, we end up with we end up with this neat little issue of you don't end up going through a lot. You don't go through a lot of paint on one of the tiny figures. So I paint a whole pile of them once. But when we're talking about healing, it really does boil down to an issue of making certain, that you absolutely, thanks, Shadow. It's absolutely imperative that you realize that working with all of the different modalities when you can, when you've got the option, that it might be in your best interest to do so. This is what I'm looking for. I did discover the other day, and the other day was this morning. I have discovered that as soon as the ice goes away again, I've got to get back to walking. Because I will tell you this, sitting still is not doing a whole lot for this idea of getting my legs working properly. You remember what I said about if you don't concentrate, if you don't work at things, okay, they don't change. So I came to the conclusion that the only way I'm going to get things running properly is by working at them. Now, when we talk about healing, okay, I've done it myself, okay, especially where it comes to my body. Okay, I won't go to a doctor unless I'm absolutely forced into it. Okay, and the reason being, they don't seem to keep up with the modern approach of, I don't feel like dying, so I'm just not going to bother getting sick. Apparently, that is not a normal or a at least medically accepted method of healing. I got asked why my blood pressure came down or why my eyesight improved. Okay, after the stroke. My immediate comment was simple. I'm tired of being blind. Now, to me, that seemed reasonable. Apparently, it's not a good answer for doctors. Remember, scientific boils down to being able to replicate it. Okay, for other people trained in that modality to be able to replicate it. Now, with that in mind, And with the number of Reiki healers out there and energy workers that are out there, does this not make it a scientifically proven healing method? Okay, with the number of people that are trained by different people with varying degrees of success, much like doctors, in case you hadn't noticed, there's a lot of people that actually turn around and can use the same techniques once they're trained to go ahead. Here's the thing, Philip. I agree with you on that point, but they are being honest. And the trick there is for the parents or the adults that are influencing the teacher or the kids to teach them to identify when that is happening. Unfortunately, most of the adults fall under the same spell. Okay, so I mean, yes, but if you're going to blame the pharmaceutical companies for that, then you've got to be prepared to blame every other industry. Now, Kimberly's just asking, what are your thoughts on Reiki? And I'm just going to put this out there because it's the first one that's come in today. When you're putting a question in, please absolutely put it in all caps. It's kind of like waving your hand. Now, in answer to your question there, Kimberly, Reiki itself is an excellent method. Okay, the sigils and the different rituals that they go through and that you're taught to go through are what I consider crutches. Okay, I was never trained in Reiki. Okay, so there's no way I can claim to be a Reiki master. I cannot tell you the specifics on how they are trained, but I can tell you if you're using sigils, or more to the point, when you're using sigils, aside from the fact that they absolutely help. Okay, so does Reiki work? The answer is absolutely yes. Some Reiki healers are better equipped at making it work. Football, the answer is yes, it can be. But here's where they fall short. Okay, Reiki masters will have consistently told me that the foot chakras are a minor chakra. Okay, I'm telling now, I will tell you this point blank, they'll ask you the other side of it. But if you open the foot chakras, you actually need, or the way to do that, I'm told by Reiki masters all the time that foot chakras are minor chakras. Okay, there are no such things as minor chakras. Okay, the reality of it from that standpoint, you open, now let me put this down so I can actually do that. You open your foot chakras up, okay, which are centered which are located on the ball of the feet. You open up the palm chakras, which I'm sure you know where they are. And again, these are considered minor chakras. But when things open and really open up, when you're aiming to drop the belly fat, okay, open up the chakra at the small of the back and the one at the base of the cerebral cortex. Not to mention the two that are located at the outermost wingtips. And the outermost wingtips are situated approximately here. Yeah, they're outside the body. Now, I don't know who the genius was that came up with the idea that the chakras had to be in a certain line or in a certain position. The soul does not have a bipedal form. Okay, this is one of the things that people run into an interesting snag. But does Reiki work on belly fat? The answer is yes. Mindset is also imperative. Okay, because let's see. Now, the one thing that you have to remember here, football, and all of you that are listening regarding a weight drop, if you focus on losing weight, humans are taught from the time they're children, if you lose something, go out and find it. So when you lose weight, you instinctively seem to go looking for the replacement. The problem with belly fat, in case you hadn't noticed, is it tends to come back with company. Now, I don't know, send the belly fat out and, bring it back with company. This is counterproductive. But then I look at people where you look at them and go, what happened? Your brain went on vacation? You'd think if the brain went on vacation, when it came back, it would come back with company and people would think more. Doesn't happen that way. But can you use it to drop the weight? That's the first thing you do. Take the idea of losing weight, okay, and you literally focus on dropping the weight or discarding it. In any event, get rid of it. Do not misplace it. Because I don't know about you, but misplacing it, I'd love to get rid of the rest of mine. So, the process of it. The other thing to look into to enhance the Reiki work, look into reflexology, both in the hands and the feet. Now, I am in. Maybe we should try one thought at a time. What do you think? I am in no position to really tell you about the different points of reflexology on the hands or on the feet. I've never been trained. I've never really looked into it. Hey, Nathan, how you doing? Listening for you do that a lot. You notice that, eh? I swear you got to have a full-time job. It was an idea for me to have one, but they canceled that on me. So I'm just going about the other side of it and going, I'm just going to make things happen. But anytime something is not working, by the way, Reiki can also be used to increase financial flow, health levels, strength levels. But again, it boils down, it really boils down to an issue of understanding that these are modalities that work in tandem with the other ones, or in conjunction is a better way to put it, because we're not talking about only two. See, one of the reasons, and I discovered this the other day, one of the reasons I can work with this is not delicate work that I'm working on as far as this painting goes. Yeah, where are we here? Go back up there. Why that jumped in a hurry? Oh, okay. That's why I lost track of it. The funny thing is that I was talking to, I've talked to some people and they go, faith is the only way to heal. But then they turn around and shoot it down and say the only people that can have faith are the ones that are trained in that modality. It's the same thing as people that tell you, oh, I practice Reiki, I've got to see a Reiki master. Every single one of you has that capacity within you to heal your own body. Now, do not get me wrong on this. It is absolutely imperative that you realize that healing takes place by working with any method available in conjunction with the other ones. Okay. It is not something to be done on its own. Okay. When people talk about turning to the New Age, which, by the way, is a heck of a sight older than the modern stuff, when you're looking at the New Age sort of thing of doing it, turning to Reiki, turning to energy work, you got to realize these methods were around a long time before modern medicine got here. But they are not, in my opinion, to be ignored by any functional stretch. Okay. This is an issue of having only part of the information. If you're only working with one modality, Now, I'm going to go into a danger point here in a manner of speaking there, Joe. But, because I keep getting told I gave it up for Lent. In brief, care to explain what Lent actually supposed to be is? I don't even know what RBSD and this issue of staying away from people just doesn't work well as far as knowing what's going on in some ways. But I'm guessing that RBST is some sort of a genetically modified or scientifically modified method of doing things. Okay. And the moment you start playing around with the actual genetic superstructure stuff, like when they banned using white willow bark. Okay, white willow bark is the primary ingredient, from what I gather, in aspirin. Okay. Where are we here? YJ's going, I had a dream this afternoon where I had a pet peacock that flew out of the property line and tried to chase off a flock of 1,000 or more. Yeah, that's gutsy. It does work though. Hey Carl, how you doing? Glad you could join us. The reality of it is every method that is out there, including, by the way, if I understand it right, this whole method of fasting, the one thing you got to remember with fasting is everybody fasts every single night. You don't call it fasting, you call it sleeping. But fasting boils down to don't eat. And there are not many people that are sleep eaters. They do exist, but they are not common. Okay, and this is something we have to realize, is that all of these methods work in unison. How you doing, Dogface? Glad you could join us. Hope your day's been going well. And for that matter, hope you haven't been working too terribly hard. Because I will tell you, from what I've seen, the people working hard are not the ones making a whole pile of money. The funny part about it, I was just thinking about this today. When we're talking about healing, there is a reason to focus on finances, it turns out. Most people, and correct me if you see this as being wrong, but most people seem to have this idea that, when their finances go into disarray, they start feeling like health starts to decline, stress goes up, and we run into all kinds of neat little problems. The answer is no. But in all fairness, that doesn't surprise me, considering the fact the Bible is only roughly a third of the thickness that it should be. Okay. Even when I was teaching the Bible, couldn't get the dang thing to learn anything. No, I couldn't actually quote passages or chapter and verse. Anyway, I could simply tell you what was the important aspects. Okay. And I will tell you again, now we've kicked religion around a fair chunk. I know this, but I will tell you, where it comes to healing, faith is one of the strongest methods of implementing that, of putting everything in the same package. And I know there's those of you that'll go, I turned away from religion. I was talking to a bunch of Jewish people at one point, to a Jewish person at one point, and flat out told them, and then subsequently proved that they actually celebrated Christmas. Okay, Philip's just filling us in here. Lent is when the winter food stocks are low in late winter, early spring. Lent ends at time of the first spring harvest. Church put a religious observance over this practical tradition. The funny thing is, and I do not know, all I can tell you is the religion I'm referring to is whichever one it was that it is that puts the cow as a as a religious icon, not icon, but as a sacred animal. That too was dealt with in a practical fashion. Now I'm telling you, when we look at all the food that's out there, everything out there that can work to heal you in nature, it's all there. It is all there. Mankind came in and went, I'm going to do what I can to regulate it. Okay. Modern science went, we're going to, just go poo-poo to all the old methods. Okay. And the new age, the so-called new age people I go through the natural methods. I do not go to the doctors because the doctors are wrong. I'm telling you, you're all wrong. Okay. You're all overlooking the obvious. These are all methods that have to be, if you desire to really regain solid health, you have to understand that all of these methods work. Now, here's the funny thing there, YJ. Oh, that's Hindu. Thank you so much there, Carl. I appreciate that. From that standpoint, we have, it is time for everybody to realize all of these methods do work to a degree, but when you combine them, all of a sudden, you're looking at something that works so much better. That's okay, YJ. I wasn't going to go back and test you on it anyway. Regarding the verse that you misquoted. What have we got here? Fasting puts the body into ketosis. Yeah. See, here's the other thing with cancer. Cancer exists in every single person. About a year ago, I came across a neat little piece of information. Apparently, they found cancer cells in dinosaur bones. Now, with this in mind, unless you believe the dinosaurs were a complete hoax, okay, with this in mind, cancer's been around a lot longer than mankind has. Although, in all fairness, mankind was here when the dinosaurs were. And we have dinosaurs still walking around on the earth today. Okay, but that goes really, really all over the place. But what I came to understand, and I know this works because, well, frankly, I dealt with it head on. Cancer can be tossed out of the body by working with energy and working with belief. Or in this case, in the case where I pulled it off, and I say I pulled it off very loosely. Okay, the gentleman that I actually turned around, I guided him back to the living side of things, was in a coma, which meant he did not have any functional way of getting around it. Okay, he couldn't argue the point. Now, this guy was very much a staunch Catholic, but he dropped into a coma and the doctors had written him off. So his wife came to me and asked me if there was anything I could do because he had been given the cancer he ended up with. They'd given him a 5%, a 20% chance of surviving it all, and a 5% chance of healing. The doctors wrote him off and said, give him last rites, he's done. I was asked to go in and deal with this individual. Now, this was not done at a distance. And as I told my mother-in-law, my former mother-in-law, okay, I won't guarantee it'll work. It depends on him. But he turned around, woke up out of the coma after working on him for 2.5 hours. He turned around, woke up out of a coma, and lived another 17 years. See, the thing is, and again, now this is where things get really sideways when I said all healing methods are used in conjunction. Okay. How you doing there, Brown Dwarf? Glad you could join us. We talk about healing, and the other side of healing is, sad to say, war and death. Now, war doesn't have a lot of use for me. It never brings peace. I will still stand on that. But when you are dealing with a society that is so ill, that the entire society is so ill, that it is infecting the cells of civilization, as in neighboring countries. Okay, it is imperative we work together to turn the lights on and let people know, hey, look, this is not acceptable to the rest of the body. It's the same issue as cancer, okay, where the rest of the body says, I'm not happy with this environment. We're going to change it. Okay, so, and again, I've always held, if you take a look at it in that kind of thinking, okay, what we're looking at now is if you look at the military people. Now, I've always held I have a great deal of respect for anybody that steps up and walks into the military and goes, I'm here to protect my country, my people, my home. Okay, I have a great deal of respect for people like that. Well, the soldiers and the first responders around the world, throughout civilization, whether we are talking about the Middle Easterners, the Canadians, the Americans, the Englishmen, the French, it doesn't matter. Russians and Austrians are the same. All of their soldiers essentially boil down to white blood cells, the combatants trying to eliminate disease. Now, we know that white blood cells can get out of hand and can absolutely decimate a living structure. Okay, and this is why I say these are all interconnected. By the way, I will still tell you, I don't think war is a really good option. It just doesn't have the kind of outcome that people think. And the people that survive war, and I know some of you veterans out there are going, if I had the choice, I wouldn't do it again, but if it has to be done, I'll step right back up. I don't think anybody, including, frankly, the politicians, oddly enough, actually like the concept of war. The neat little part. Yeah, honestly, Philip, so would I. The sad part is, back in the Middle Ages, back when kings were running monarchies, okay, and I'm talking way back because the modern kings seldom do anything of this nature. But when they said, we are going to war, the leader of that country jumped on the horse and went out in front of everybody else and said, follow me, we're going. The ones today don't do that, which is why they don't have half the respect they think they deserve. Okay, when I was going to school, in all the years I was there, I had one gym teacher that when he said, we are going to run a mile, okay, he was out in front of everybody, running it himself. Of course, he was a bit different. He'd say, we are going to run 2 miles today. Then he'd take off in front of us, running backwards, okay, for the whole 2 miles. Now, this is a gym teacher that taught me that when somebody says, we are going to do this, that's what you do. You get up and do it yourself and lead the way. Okay, most of the leaders today, and even in the medical, I'm looking at the new medical people coming up and turning around and going, oh, cutting back on what you eat and exercising will not lose weight. Try basic math. You put less food into your system, okay, or you put less toxins into your system than you pump out of it, you're going to heal. Now, let us remember that all illness is a dis-ease. Something is offset in your system. Okay. See, What do we got here? Who was the last British monarch? I have no idea. There is no way I can tell you that, Philip. Remember what I mentioned about I don't research? Okay, I remember, but I don't research. Okay, so I have no idea who the last British monarch was. In all fairness, prior to Queen Elizabeth II, I don't know who the last British monarch was. Okay, and God help me if I ever have to take a citizenship to prove that I'm Canadian. Because I'll tell you, the new citizens coming in here, they know more about Canadian history than I do. Oh, heavens, they do that all the time. Football's going, can off-worlders develop drug addictions? There are staggering numbers of them that do. Okay, many of the off-world races have their own variations on drug addiction. Okay, not always the same thing. It's not like, oh, they're addicted to cocaine or they're addicted to marijuana. You got to remember, these guys use different plants, different minerals, different liquids, but it's the same principle. Well, I hope that's a rhetorical question there, YJ, because I have no idea. Somebody can look it up if they choose, but from my standpoint, and this is where I get into trouble, whoever the king was, whoever the queen was, they were they neither were better than your lowest income individual living on the street, or the one that's got more money than they do. They are, every single one of you is equally spiritually important. Okay, now who was which? I have no idea. Yes, there were. There were a lot of them. And, in all fairness, when you think about it, okay, families carry the same tradition. Okay, in my family, the name Joseph was always carried on for decades, like for generations. The name Joseph was carried on in some part of the eldest son's name. Now, in my world, like in my generation, that didn't happen because the guy that had the name didn't have kids. But what we have to remember is it would be wise to remember anyway, all of these different methods are, they are all part and parcel of the same thing. They are all bits and pieces. Okay. They are all bits and pieces of the fact of the truth behind healing, because it is all interconnected. Now, most people forget this. It's sad, but very much the case. So what we have to look at here is that when you start combining all of these different methods, that is something I really appreciate you pointing out, Joe. It's something that I've always held, being respectful to other people. We had one genius come in here one day and he looked at the cross chatter and his first comment was, man, is there ever a lot of trolls in here? And I don't see any one of you guys as a troll. I see a lot of cross chatter, but the reality is what I see in that is you guys reaching out to help each other. Okay. And I will continue to encourage that. I got told by somebody one day I shouldn't spend so much time looking at the chat room because I get lost. Well, newsflash, I get lost anyway. That's just the reality behind the way my life works. But when we take a look at, if you take a look at the doctors, okay, modern doctors, that so many people put on a pedestal and go, these are the guys that know what's going on. Okay, well, I will tell you this. I will respectfully disagree. Many of them are taught the same thing by their predecessors. And therein lies the problem. Because they're missing major issues. Okay, not the least of which is, and they've proven this is the silly part, modern science proved beyond a shadow of a doubt that if they give somebody medication, okay, now you figure this one out. If they give somebody medication and they say this is what it will do, okay, and they give them the real medication, they found it did that. But these same doctors in the same lab gave other people what they call a placebo, a sugar pill with no medicinal quality to it, and said, this pill will do what this other one has done. Never told which patients were doing what. They all healed at effectively the same rate. Okay. Absolutely there, Joe. Joe's just saying, we're all mental in our own kind of way. And it's funny because, I look at people and I've been told I'm absolutely nuts. Never by a professional. Professionals, as in the people trained, have all universally said, no, your mind's working perfect. You've got absolutely no tolerance for stupidity, but your mind works fine. And I don't have a problem with somebody telling me I've got no tolerance for stupidity. The reality of it is this. When we start working with all of these methods together, in all fairness, YJ, I don't know the name. Okay, I do not like the name ayahuasca. Ayahuasca. I don't know the name myself, so I have no way of giving you an answer there. Okay, but I will tell you this. Many of the off-worlders have come to people on an individual basis. They tried going to the governments. That didn't work all that well. Tried going to the corporations. That was just about as ineffective. So they've turned to individuals and said, look, these methods work. How you doing, Mr. L? Glad you managed to join us. And honestly there, Mr. L, essentially you're correct. When you seek something, when you go out knowing that what you're looking for is going to help, you do sometimes need a hand. Okay. Hence the idea of turning to others, turning to people that are trained in healing. When my vehicle's sick, okay, when my vehicle breaks down, it's sick. I don't try and tangle with the thing myself. I go to a mechanic. Okay. If your physical, biological health is in trouble, go to somebody you trust to help put things back together. But understand it is a combination of these things that brings solid unilateral health in you. It's not just the medication. Okay. It is a question of simply accepting. Whoops. Well, don't know what to tell about that one there, Carl. I get concerned because every now and again mine will freeze. Right. But, oh, I absolutely have, Kimberly. I don't personally use it, but what tapping seems to do, from what I understand about it, is it gives you a way of focusing your energy or your attention on the tapping in order to utilize that focus to accelerate your healing, drop your nerves, drop your blood pressure. Tapping itself seems to be a method of focusing your energy or focusing your attention. And I will tell you, that in and of itself is a real bonus. So does tapping work? Absolutely. Philip is just saying here, If the Dalai Lama feels someone is being insincere and therefore wasting his time, he'll politely bow, wish them well, then leave. Your impatience reminded me of this. Yeah, the only difference is I won't be polite about it. Okay. I unfortunately have, like, my verbal temper, and you guys have never seen it, but of course, nobody's been with me in person to actually push that particular button. And to be honest, it's a button that I would like to eliminate and I'm working on. I did make a breakthrough the other day, which I know for a fact I made a breakthrough on because I had to deal with somebody that was just absolutely, well, frankly, they were overstated. I liked what my phone did. I had somebody phone me up, and as near as I think it was a collection agency, but don't ask me who thinks I owe them money. But they phoned me up, asked if I was me, and I went, yeah. I said, that's my name. My phone, I kid you not, my phone turned around and hung up on the guy. So I thanked my phone very much and put the phone back down. Because I didn't actually have to hang up on him this time. The phone did it for me. Okay. But no, the reality is there are way too many people. What did I do there? That was wrong. There are way too many people that will waste somebody's time, and as near as I can understand, that's sort of what a troll boils down to. I don't know, I like the definition that I grew up with. And I know Shadow grows up and looks at it the same way. Trolls have a really bad habit of regenerating. But like everything else, you light them on fire, they don't regenerate that well. But no, the fact of the matter is, will I tell somebody they're stupid? No. But I will tell them that I'm not getting through to them. I like the way it was put one day regarding healing, regarding all sorts of things. Okay. I can explain much of it to you. I can understand none of it for you. Okay. YJ's just gone. Ayahuasca brings people to another realm with wise beings and with wise beings and machine elves. I've read the government private corps are now extending dosages for explorers to map it out. Intriguing. I don't have any information on that one. I will tell you if humans go into these realms with the mental attitude that most of them have, including, sad to say, most of the scientists, they're going to run into some interesting problems. Okay. And most of the interesting problems will be based on comprehension, not on whether or not they're worthy. This is a question of whether you believe these methods work or you believe they don't. In either way, in either event, you're likely to prove yourself right. Never saw the show in all fairness there, Philip. But yeah, gaining, the thing I found was necessary because understand a temper is quite literally, it literally boils down to a dis-ease. Something is bothering you. Okay, or in this case, something is bothering me. But again, all of these methods are used in tandem because an angry body will not heal as fast as a relaxed one. Okay. That's just the reality of it. And again, it really boils down to, this is why I say I'm not the only one that has answers. As a matter of fact, I got very few. I just have a tendency of turning lights on. What do we got here? Have you experienced either of those psychedelics? Oh, that's the YJ. I wish it were silent. You know that, Gordana? I know way too many people that suffer from that have suffered very early demises because anger in somebody else got out of hand. But here's the thing. Anger itself, like one of the reasons I heal at the rate I do, is I get annoyed with my body and go, I'm not going to hang on to this. Okay, I'm just not hanging on to this at all. I've got a couple of spots I'm having fun with, and I'll use the term fun a little loosely. But we have to realize that mindset is a critical factor where it comes to getting your body working properly. Okay, you have to believe it is actually possible to do that. Because honestly, if you believe that you're not going to heal, then frankly, you're going to, in all likelihood, be right. Okay, now again, it boils down to using them in tandem. Now, we can go all over the place with modern medicine, but you take a look at pranic healing, which from my understanding is a contact form of healing, but it seems to be related very closely to reflexology. Okay, which boils down to, and I do not know the different points. Okay, I do know that if you're cold, from what I've experienced, never mind what I've been told. Okay, but if you're cold and it doesn't make sense, you take your middle finger and your thumb, and at the elbow, okay, right here and on the inside, okay, you apply gentle pressure there, move it up 2 inches, okay, and do the same thing, and you work your way out to your hands, okay. By doing that, you'll bring your temperature, your internal temperature up. Whatever those meridians are, whatever those points are, I don't know. What I do know is it works. See, I'm a firm believer that the reason I never got into any of the psychedelics, guys, is because I found if you concentrate in the right fashion, you can get exactly the same feeling. Okay, with the added bonus of being in total control of it, which may be part of the problem. Okay, that some people go through. The overall. Oh, okay, John. Where do we go? Okay, Shallow, you take care. Thanks so much for joining us. Can't believe it's that early or that late already. But hey, what the heck? I don't blame you there at all, Philip. Okay. And that's pretty much the way that I look at it. This is why when I had my massive heart attack, when I had my major heart attack back in 2013, I told the doctor I was having one. He confirmed it and then told me I couldn't have known. I got up. I stayed the night because, well, frankly, I needed to sleep. And the reality of it is very much like you. If somebody is telling me this is the only method of doing it, I will tell the same thing to Reiki masters. Okay, like the first question I ask a Reiki master is literally, is the foot chakra important? And if they turn around and tell me no, it's not, I'll turn around and go, okay, I've got other people I got to deal with. Okay, because the fact of the matter is, it was opening somebody's foot chakras that I ended up reminding somebody they could actually walk. After everybody they had talked to for the last 3.5 years, it turned out, had told them they were stuck. Now, Kimberly, you shouldn't be looking for spirits doing things in the dark. You should leave them alone. This is assuming not doing anything to harm people. Yeah, I've always wondered if a dark spirit and a light spirit got together, if they'd end up with a gray one. But never bothered to try and test that theory. Yes, I know that's a twisted way of looking at things. Oh, Kimberly, when you're aiming to talk, now do understand something very important. On the other side, I will answer that question for you in just 30 seconds here, Philip. On when somebody's on the other side, time over there really does boil down to a day is as 1,000 years. Okay, now most of the time you're looking at people taking a minimum of 4 to 5 of our years. Okay, to really get their thoughts turned around and be able to jump back even then. Okay, but when you're really looking for him, literally, Kimberly, and you can do this out loud because out loud or in your thoughts, it won't matter. Either one works just as effectively in this particular case. But when you're missing him, thank him for letting you know, for giving him a sign that you can recognize and accept to let you know he's there. Because frankly, your husband isn't going anywhere until you catch up with him. Okay. In his case, he's chosen he is not reincarnating until he is certain you're on your feet. So until then, and it's not a question of you waiting around for him or him waiting around for you. Okay. Something that may work for you, Kimberly. Have you ever striven to see your husband in the mirror? Okay. This is something you may find convenient. Give that a shot, and I do suggest one very important factor when I say in the mirror, it doesn't mean you've got to be in the dark, but it absolutely means do not put a candle behind you. Okay, do not. Okay, but utilize the mirror and thank your husband for revealing himself in a way that you can both accept and understand, and see what happens on that end. Now, in answer to your question there, Philip, learning what the chakras are is very valuable. Understand chakra, the line that the people say that the chakras run right down the spine. There's a problem with that. Okay. And the problem with it is this: the soul is not a bipedal organism, which means the chakras can move. But what the different colors are generally accepted to do is important to look into, is important to understand. Okay, because it will help you interpret what you're seeing and what you're feeling. Okay, the mind again has to work in tandem. YJ goes, I learned if you're in complete darkness for 3 days and led to the rising sun and look at it, your brain will flood with the same thing as ayahuasca, and you'll have a heck of a spiritual experience. You'll also have one heck of an optical rush. Okay. Anytime you go from solid dark to bright light, okay, the Native North Americans used to use peyote to have a spiritual experience, also known as getting high. Okay, there are people that put them there are societies that put themselves through extreme pain in order to facilitate healing. Okay, now these methods do work. Personally, I don't like the idea of pain. But again, this is something that we have to realize is done in a unified fashion. Take a look at what the doctors can tell you. Learn about the purpose of the chakras, what colors indicate what. Okay, look into auras, look into the nerve centers that you can find in many of the medical books. All of this information combined will help. Okay, there is, yes, and I don't know if that's what you were intending on there, Philip, but different auditory sounds will also facilitate healing. Okay. I'll tell you why, Jay. If you can get yourself a what the heck is it called? There's a type of sensory deprivation chamber. Okay, that's what you're doing is low-grade sensory deprivation. And yes, putting yourself in total darkness, total silence, does work really well. The other thing that facilitates, by the way, yeah, Joe goes, gosh, if I was talking about orbs in any other chat room, they'd think I'm mental. Well, look at the bright side. Look at the bright side. I'm the last person to tell people that they're mental, although I have been told by a number of doctors I'm not. My mind works perfectly fine. Here's the thing, YJ. YJ just pointed out that the Ten of Pentacles represents the chakras and the Kabbalah tree of life. Here's what most people are not entirely aware of. The tarot, do I have that over here? Yes, right there. The thing most people are not aware of. Yeah, I work in all sorts of odd fields, not the least of which is tarot. But what he is talking about, I'm just looking for it here. What most people don't realize about this, now this is another tool for healing. Here's the thing, here's the little accepted piece of information though. Okay. And that is that the tarot cards themselves, and by the way, I had this corroborated by somebody trained to read tarot in the bottom of the Vatican. Okay. Tarot itself was actually originally designed by, it was built to spread the word of Christianity. Then the gypsies came around, figured out how to make money at it. And that's where the real big kicker came in. Of course, neat thing with gypsies, they figured out how to make all sorts of things. Now, I'm not quite certain how that was going to work there, Philip. Philip's just saying he had a doctor tell him he had to take a pill to heal the soul. That may be problematic because a pill is physical. The soul is a whole lot of things, but that ain't one of them. Now, your last statement there, Philip, where you finished it off with, but don't have one. Is this to say that the doctor was telling you didn't have a soul? Or just that he didn't have a pill? This is what I was looking for. The Ten of Pentacles that YJ was talking about. Right there. Okay. And yes, it's also representative of the Tree of Life. Okay. But the thing with the tarot was originally it was designed to actually spread the word of Christianity. And your modern playing cards were a derivative of the tarot. And of course, we all know that those are evil, right? The thing we have to realize is all of these methods combined work. Oh, well, I will absolutely agree with him. They don't. Nobody has a physical pill to heal the soul. But your mind, with your own research and your own belief structures, can heal the soul, can put it back together. That is primarily what we are here for, is to remember who and what we are. Carlito, how you doing? Glad you could join us. This is what we came back here for. As Daniel Brinkley put it, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. We are here to remember all of the things we are actually capable of doing. Okay. And there is not a one of us that is not capable of doing what the others can. Okay. Now I shouldn't put it that way, because I will tell you, if you're missing your legs, you're not running the marathon on your legs. It's just not going to happen. But we take a look at it, and once people start accepting the fact that all of these different methods are interlocked, if you understand reflexology and because the reflexology, and for that matter pranic healing, relies on knowing the contact points on the physical body. When you know what they are from that standpoint, and you couple that energy with Reiki or with accelerated healing, I have no idea what to call what I work with, because I was never trained. I simply grew up knowing what it was, knowing how to do it. I should probably do more of it regarding my own body. Not the least of which is my left leg, which is kind of a pain in the neck right now. But once you start, anytime you're missing a piece of information, and this is why I say looking at the different religions also will tell you a fair chunk. One thing it told me when I started looking at all the different ones is that they all teach essentially the same thing. Okay. The reality of it is I'm looking for where it comes to the videos and what have you. I love hearing, this is why I said, when people are posting things that are of a negative method, okay, posting a higher number of positive based ones is absolutely imperative. And the more that we understand about what's going on, including, have you ever been around somebody, and I get a kick out of it, we've got a lot of people that don't speak English here, okay, up in Kelowna now. Now, the reality is, business, according to everybody I've talked to, the business language is English, it seems, on a global base. Ultimately, it is. Okay, that was one of the modalities I didn't talk about. Okay, but acupuncture, acupressure, okay, pranic healing, all of these things are different words for the same targets. Don't mind me, I really hate that. I do hate when I get a message like that. Now I've got to ask you to clarify there, Philip. When you say what languages do they speak, I need to know who they are to even have a hope of telling. Or are you referring to the number of different people around me? Because regarding the number of people around me, I'm talking East Indians that have moved in, French people that have moved in, people that speak Mexican, speak Portuguese. They all speak a different language, okay? And I don't understand half of them. But yeah, these are immigrants that are coming in here. But where it comes to business, it seems that English is, on a global base, the language of choice. Why? I don't know. Because I'll tell you, it's one of the most bizarre languages out there. Thankful that I speak it naturally. I also speak slurries. I don't speak slurries much anymore. But mumblies and stutteries, I certainly do. And stumblies. But when people are working together, the one thing that people have that works really well is that everybody understands. If you're holding on, like if I hold this out to you, to somebody, pretty much everybody in a somewhat developed country, even in so-called third world countries, knows this is a vessel that can hold water. Okay? They know it's for drinking out of. There aren't very many people that will take a container like this and stick spaghetti and stick, raw spaghetti in it. But when we're talking about language, when you take the time to learn a new one, and I did get from very good authority that on Google Translate, where it comes to German itself, if you put things in one word at a time, it does a reasonably accurate job of translating it. You try putting two sentences in, it'll screw it up. Okay, but all of these different methods, if you're heavy into the idea of modern medicine, absolutely have a happy and use it. Okay, but I do encourage you to accept the possibility that the other methods do work. Oh, absolutely. I definitely agree with you there, YJ. And new words are being created all the time, but this is the way language evolves. Okay, this is why people end up clustering in different communities. It's because they figure out how the people in those communities talk. Net result, communication helps putting communities together. What do we got here? Philip's that's going to confuse me. Yeah, Philip just said, English is one of my favorite languages because it dropped the confusing gendering of inanimate objects. And it's so refreshing that we only have one the. Didn't even know there was more than one the. But I'm very much in alignment with you on that one, Philip. Okay, Carlino, this is a reminder for everybody. Okay, I did catch it, but definitely put your questions in all caps. They're easier to find. Carlino has just asked. I have a question about gray aliens. When I think about them, I picture a gecko with black eyes, even though it's not their eye color. It's like sunglasses. Are they related to reptilians? Technically, in a way, yes. Their vocal cords are very similar. Are they reptilian? No. Not from, as far as their heritage goes, they seem to have evolved more from an insect than a reptile. Okay. And they certainly don't have the appetite that most of the reptilians I run into tend to look at. Most reptilians are carnivorous in nature. The grays are not. Yeah, absolutely, Gordana. Color works like an absolute charm. I'm in the process of laying out something. Oh, no problem there at all there, Carlito. I'm in the process of laying out a piece of equipment. Somewhere in my notes, I'm just trying to think here. There is a tool that the ancients used to use for healing, for resetting chakra lines. You know, yeah, I'm pretty simplistic. Something else I found out, and this one just annoys the heck out of me. I love the fact that in French, for example, at last count, there were like 14 different words for love. Okay, which I don't have a problem with. But to me, there is only one word for no. And it really applies in relationship standpoints, absolutely on a unilateral level. If somebody says no, there's not a whole lot of understanding you have to deal with. Okay. It doesn't mean maybe. It doesn't mean try and convince me. It means no. Okay. And this is something that when people figure it out, will work out really well. I'm just looking at this YJ, a Tesla coil bed. Interesting, yes, but if I understand Tesla coils, sleeping on one isn't necessarily what I'd be calling and what I'd be aiming at. But again, magnetics will help people heal. They will help people think clearly. By the way, that can also be used in reverse. Okay. If you think about it, electricity can help people heal. It can stimulate growth. It can also shut down a heart in literally a heartbeat. Never even looked into it. Of course, that's one of those things. Gordon is just going in a Tesla coil bed. You use it 3 times 8 minutes each day. What is this? Now I do not speak barely speak stuttered French, but any language that you learn, the one thing that has been proven unequivocally is that when you are learning a language as you get older, it helps combat things like Alzheimer's and some of the other mental degradations. This is something that we have to look at. Well, we don't technically have to. Okay. But what we are looking at here is all of these different methods, when used in tandem, work like an absolute charm. Like the other one, and I do this myself, I work with energy where it comes to healing. Okay. But I also work with massage. And in case you hadn't figured it out, if you're massaging somebody and you focus on healing energy coming out of your hands at the same time, you will accelerate the impact and the effectiveness of a massage. Okay. That's fantastic there, Gordana. Gordana's just saying this Tesla bed helped her, and is now helping a boy with cerebral palsy. Well, thank you for that clarification there, Carl. Okay, Carl's just saying that the gender the, for example, der, die, and das are German for the, but they are male, female, and neutral, or as he put it, and neuter. The reality is, anytime you've got something that is not running smoothly, okay, one healing modality may not do it where another one will. But it's because of the slightly different approach. It's very much like when we look at the spiritual path people are on. I've looked at a lot of different Bibles. As a matter of fact, I own a lot of different Bibles from different religions. Christian, the Christian Bible, the Jehovah's Witness Bible, the Quran, the Bhagavad Gita, the Witch's Bible, the Church of Satan. All of these teach almost the exact same thing, but they use different words. Same thing with different healing modalities. They may call it something different, but it's the same thing. They are still trying to help you get your body back into shape. Well, that's the theory. Okay, I will tell you, if the medical society worked more towards healing the problem instead of treating the symptom, there would not be so many ill people on the planet. On the other hand, they'd be out of business. Like they wouldn't have as much work to do. I'm a firm believer when I go to consult with somebody or when I go to give somebody a hand, if I can point them in the right direction, and oddly enough, if I never hear from them again because of that issue, I did my job right. Okay. And this is just the way I'm looking at it. Okay. This is why when I'm starting to put things together to build an actual publishing company, I'm going to be doing it in such a way that people can get the job done that they require. Okay. And obviously, I'm not going to do this for free. Okay. People have told me repeatedly, a doctor goes to school, therefore they should be paid. Okay. They should be paid because they went to school. But people that are born with the natural ability and inclination to heal should be doing that for free because it's natural. Well, sad to say, where it comes to being paid for what you're doing, if you're not making an income, you got to go get a job doing something else. And then you're going to have to do less work towards helping people. That's just reality. Philip is saying here, Tibetan apparently has more words for distinct emotions than any other language because of their centuries of trying to map our minds and everything we humans can experience. And that is absolutely, that's very much the case. They've taken the time to track it out. So they came up with labels that they can use to make it understandable. Now, Gordani is just saying I did whole body on 50 to 100 hertz. Okay, Tesla coil bed in bed, 8 minutes. Legs 200 hertz. Yeah, these are things, these are things that a Tesla bed apparently is working well for. Now, I don't have one. I don't know much about them, but I do know this. Modifying the biomagnetic flux, which you can do with your own brain, does reduce the pain. Okay. Doing this in a dark, quiet room reduces the outside distractions. And net result, you can bring the healing dam back into place very quickly. But again, we're talking about something here that is a mechanical aid, a crutch, if you will. If it helps you heal, put the thing to use. If it doesn't, which it may not for everybody, if it does not, that's an indication you're using the wrong modality. Gee, I can't dance more than about a step and a half. Of course, that's because when my leg hits the ground, the knee, it'll hit and the knee will go this way, the file will go this way, the shin will, and the knee will sit right where it was. It's a great party stopper, but I'll tell you, it's painful as all get out. But this is one of those situations where we really have to look at the world that we're working with and go, what are we doing? How are we going to go about changing this? And the thing is, by sharing these little tools with each other, you guys can go out and spread the same information via whatever means you have when a conversation comes up, where this is applicable. You can add this added insight and thereby take this message that working together, we can make this a better world for virtually everybody. See, the funny thing there, Philip, is dancing is everywhere. But you think about it, kids dance all over the place, and as they're growing up, they get made to feel like this is a bad thing. Net result, they stop. Okay, now this is where encouraging people to dance or letting them dance, just watching them clapping when they dance in public, this sort of thing is encouraging instead of making fun of people that are dancing, which unfortunately I see way, way, way too often. Okay, you take a look at many of the so-called first world nations, their entire communities, and even when we go to the third world ones, many of them dance a lot of the time. Even where it comes to, when you take a look at, what is it now? And I forget the name offhand, there is a martial art that looks like dance, like slow motion dancing. Okay. And it does help the body heal. This is what we have to realize is any expression of joy is going to help the body heal. I mean, you think about it. When you see on video, you see a little baby laughing. Does this not bring your spirits up a little? Okay. It makes you a little bit happier. Brings you a little bit more online. Yeah, and that's the thing. The drum, the beating of the drums, drum circles that people talk about, do work. And the reason they work is because they set up a static resonance that stabilizes the body. Now you can do the same thing. I've seen this done in meditation circles where people hold hands and all they do is concentrate on the energy going around the circle in one path. Okay, in order to sync things up and to bring energy levels up where they belong. Here's a neat little bonus for you there, Jordana. Okay, drums heal every chakra. Okay, it's just you do it at a different rate or a different cycle. Some churches do that, but here's the problem. Okay, Philip goes, I wish we had everyone dancing in churches like we have everyone singing in churches, where it's more embarrassing to be caught not singing than to be caught singing off key. And that's the thing. Nobody should be made to feel embarrassed because they're not hitting a pitch perfect or because they're not dancing in rhythm. Okay. I was told one day that somebody, if you watch a movie, okay, your best and the clumsy, and they always take the best dancers to dance off beat. Okay, because the best dancers apparently can get so focused on their own dance, they ignore the sounds around them. Okay, and there's no problem with the idea, in my opinion, of dancing in church. That's no problem. Dancing in church, singing in church. I have a problem with ostracizing in church. Okay, and that's where they've fallen short. Now, mind you, society in general has forgotten how to heal each other. In general, mankind has forgotten the power, the healing power of a smile. And I would love this and love one thing to happen, another thing to happen here. Okay. And that is that we start a pandemic. Okay. But the pandemic I desire to see started is a pandemic of smiles, of friendly greetings. This sort of thing. Robert, how you doing? Glad you could join us. Hopefully your day has been going well. The reality is every chakra. Now here, people have asked me, why don't I go to a Reiki healer? Well, the reason is this. Most Reiki healers work with 7 chakras. The really good ones work with 9. All of them are taught it's in a straight line. I work with 28 major chakras, and not all of them are inside the body. Okay. Many of them, Reiki masters have told me, are minor chakras, and that's where we end up going down the wrong road, down the other road. Okay. This is why, like I said, I cannot classify myself as a Reiki master because I've never been trained. Okay. That's just the reality in my life. Well done there, Philip. Well, my apologies. That was Robert. Robert says he goes through 180 of them. Jordana is going through 108. Hey, nicely done, Robert. I lucked out about a year and a half ago. My son, who lives with me, asked me if he could take over the laundry. I'll tell you, I was really upset about it. When yeah, go ahead. I'm like, why would I complain about that? But the reality that we have to realize is the chakras are not trapped in one part of the physical body. They can move. Okay. Modern medicine works, but it is best to use it in conjunction with these other methods. Except where it comes to anesthetic, absolutely, if they're going to use anesthetic. I know in my case, pump enough into me that you can actually knock me out. Because I don't feel like waking up in the middle of it, but thanks very much. Yeah, it was terrible. He goes, I'd like to wash my, I'd like to do the laundry. I went, okay. You don't mind? I said, why am I going to complain? So you want to take over cleaning the house and and cooking? Be my guest. I'm quite willing to sit down. From my standpoint, I've always told people, work fascinates me. I can sit and watch it for hours. Okay. But the reality of it is all of these methods work. Okay. This is another healing method that we don't talk about much. This funny thing here. And no, this one is actually full of water. Well, got about a quarter water in it now. But proper hydration is a way of proper healing because it flushes the system. But I will tell you, the people that tell you can take a pill and dump 30 pounds in a month, I don't debate whether you could. I do question whether it's wise because all of that toxin has to go through your organs. Okay, and you may find you're overtaxing the organs in the long run. But when we start looking at this and go, okay, there are different healing methods. People talk about, the so-called third nations where they use mud packs for healing. I'll tell you, it works like a charm. Well, I agree with you there. Because I'll tell you, Philip, if he's money laundering and I'm not getting a cut, there's a problem here. No, in all fairness, I was told by one person, they came to me and they said, I need to know how to make more money. I said, that's easy. Talk to a counterfeiter. I said, but whatever you do, don't get caught. It doesn't work well. The reality that we're working with right now is that everything that is sitting that you're looking at, everything that makes you uneasy, okay, is something that can be healed. It's classified as a dis-ease. Now, the closest I can come to that, Joe, and because I am not a member of the Church of Satan, but I do have, and I should be able to find the information on the 11. I don't know if I'll be able to do it next, but let me move that out of the way. I'm going to make a note of it, like I told you. A topic comes up, I will add it to my list. Of course, in all fairness, this is where things get to be really intriguing, because somebody out there is going to go, well, if you're going to talk about this, then we've got to talk about the other ones. Okay. And that said, why? Because I am not a member, but I do have somewhere in my records here a list of the 11 guidelines of the Church of Satan. Years ago, I actually had a radio show, okay, where I had a well-placed member of the Catholic Church and a well-placed member of the Church of Satan. I don't know if I can do that. But I had them both on the air at the same time. And I went into it with a major misconception that the guy from the Church of Satan was nice enough to straighten out. But within an hour, well, within 2 hours of being on the show, I had them agreeing with each other. Okay. They have, well, the Catholic Church and the Protestant one have 10 commandments. Okay. The Church of Satan has 11. And the only fundamental difference that I know of, okay, when I think back over it, their only fundamental difference is that they acknowledge the existence of magic. But where they put the stipulation is they put the stipulation going, if you use magic, if you use magic to get ahead, acknowledge the fact that you used it. For if you use magic and deny it, you will lose everything you gain through magic. Okay. But yeah, I do have it listed down here. Oh, forgot to do that. Way back up. Now I am forgetting. There we go. Joe. What I do when somebody comes up with an idea is I make certain that I have that person marked down to keep an eye out, because I don't know. I've got to find that list before I can schedule it. But I do have it on the list there, Joe, to open that door and actually take a look at it. But if just for those of you that are listening in right now and don't get it, this is not an issue of looking at the Church of Satan and going, it's any worse or any better than any other religion. Okay. This is just simply from an information standpoint. Am I a minister? Yes. But I'm a minister, actually. I got my ministry through the Universal Life Church down in California. They don't even recognize it up here in Canada. But the thing that caught my attention with them was when I was talking to them, and they said, look, we don't care what you call God. We don't care what name you use. Be nice to each other. And right there, it worked out well. Because I'll tell you, I don't care what people call whatever their icon, whatever their... How we doing, Raven? Glad you could join us. From my standpoint, the label you put on somebody isn't the relevant issue. What is the relevant issue is the way you treat each other. And working with all of these different modalities in tandem, okay, does actually work better than using them individually. Okay, I just came across one just the other day that started popping it out. The miracle of ice therapy. Well, it's been long known that cooling down inflamed portions drops the swelling. So it's not exactly a new therapy. They're just putting a new spin on it. Okay. But no, I will look into the issue of the church. And, the thing is, I have in my possession I've got the guidelines from the Church of Satan, from the Cree Nation, from the Christians, the Jewish, the Hindu. Well, I've got a copy of the Bhagavad Gita, a copy of the Quran. I've even got a copy of I've got a copy of the Mormon Bible. Where are we? No. Honestly, I've never heard of it. I do know there's a Church of the Jedi down Church of the Force down in Australia somewhere. But no, and there's probably multiple others. Oh yeah, if your Kundalini opened up all at once, that's going to be a rush and a half. Yeah, that's just it, Carl. When we are talking about energy, anytime your body is offline, the energy flow, the nerves in the nervous system, the biomagnetic field, your magnetic field, your chakras, your aura, they're all out of alignment. And I will tell you, shock therapy does not work well for straightening them out. Okay. And I know this for an absolute certainty, because a buddy of mine got hit with lightning twice, and it did not do him a lot of good. Matter of fact, it really screwed him up. There is so much that is on that. This topic of healing is such a broad thing. Where are we? Oh, well, that would explain why I don't know about it. I mean, sad to say that, Philip, I don't have much of a sense of humor. I do have a Bible. I've got a Bible here called the Boomer Bible, which is absolutely designed to tick off everybody. Okay. And when I come across it again, maybe I'll read you the titles of the books. But I will tell you, I'll have the book in my hand before I do it, or I'm going to get into trouble. But, the reality is, whether a church is satirical or not, if the people following it are utilizing that to find a way to treat each other decently or to help people heal, to help the planet heal, it doesn't matter what name you use. Okay. From my standpoint, it boils down to we have to be working together. All of these things are combined. They are all interlocked. And I'll tell you, give you an idea, for example, if your house is in disarray, okay, the energy flow is clustered. Okay, you're going to feel less energetic. Net result, your brain isn't going to work quite as effectively. Your mood is likely to go sideways. You're likely to find that you've got pains in places you didn't have planned, that you didn't know you had places. Okay, and your heart is going to feel heavier. You may find your eyesight goes out the window at the same time. You start clearing the clutter out of your house. This is simply the physical place you live. Okay, clear the clutter out of it. You'll find your energy goes up, your mood clarifies, your thinking starts coming together properly. Okay, again, it boils down to because everything is interconnected. It takes a while sometimes for people to realize just how interconnected it is. But this is something that we can make happen. Okay, like we can make this work. And the reality is, like, I've seen a staggering amount of change in here. I'm just curious here. Actually, the people in this chat room have been absolutely phenomenal. But something I do want to reiterate, is if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, absolutely do so, assuming, of course, you like it. Okay. And like I said, spread word to everybody, because we have to get to the point. That's cute. I just had a little pop-up thing go. Moderation helps everyone feel safe. Yeah, I'll have to look into it. This just showed up right in the middle of my chat room. So I cannot deal with that right now. So I need that out of the way so I can read. But, one of the things that you have to look at is that when we are working with each other as a community, now I know I only go 2 hours. When we work as a community, as a society, we can make absolute headway over a lot of the things that are being held up. Okay, there is no functional reason why why anywhere on this planet we should be suffering from major illnesses, from famine, from power shortages. There really is no functional reason. Okay, it boils down to people working together. Okay, that's the biggest catch we have here. Where is this? I appreciate that there, Gordana. The reality of it is that the fact of the matter, and I looked at it this way. For the longest time I hid from people. Well, realistically, until I started doing this just in 2021. But it was 8 years ago when I ended up coming online with Dave on Spaced Out Radio. And it took me a long time to get to the point of coming here. Now what's happened though, because of the support I get here, okay, I've turned around and gone, okay, I was told literally about 30 years ago, my attitude to the world was still the same. And 30 years ago, somebody told me I should start a church. Right. And I looked at them and went, why? Right. Of course, you got to remember at that time I had a major falling out with churches in general. And like they said, if you can get that many people behind you, you can do wonders. And I'm thinking I'm not doing anything really functionally spectacular. But I did at one point look into the idea of starting a church and promptly found out that it's locked up so tight that unless you are a mainstream church, you're not getting there. Okay, unless you teach what they are talking about. And I will tell you, if what they were talking about was so unified, and look this up on the internet, okay, my understanding is that there are 55,000 different denominations of the Christian church. Not my idea of unification. Yeah, Phillips just says, I'm still hiding. My goal this year is to get out and interact with people and stop hiding. The reality of it is this. Okay, and I've got to get a hold of somebody as far as turning this into some way, because right now I've got this neat little problem that I have to get sorted out in the next couple of months. Much as I would love to help everybody I can, the sad truth of the matter is I don't start doing something about a stable income, I'm going to run into a rather big problem. And guess what? If I'm working 5 days a week, I won't be on here 7. Because the odds are I won't be in any location to be on here in 7. Well, 6. Yeah. Now, that part I didn't know, Raven, but it does not surprise me. Actually, I think it's only 45,000. I think they control 55% of the world's wealth. And yet, what's happening is we are still seeing people homeless, seeing people starving. Okay. And this is one of the things I look at. I'm going millions of people sit and listen to somebody telling you, fear everything, fear your creator, because he is a vicious, vindictive individual. He loves you, but if you don't do exactly what he says, he's going to beat the stuffing out of your life. Now, I don't know, but to me, this doesn't sound like it quite adds up the way it should. But that's just my way of looking. I don't know, maybe it's somebody else's. Technically, the answer is yes, but the problem with it is this. The question that was asked there, Phil asked if I could go back to doing what I was previously doing. And technically, the answer is yes. This is why I said, will I still do consulting myself? As in, if people are looking for somebody to answer that, to go down that road and look where their life is going. Absolutely, I have decided to leave that door open. Okay. The only difference between it and what some companies do is I work on video. Okay. I've worked on the phone. I worked 22 years on the phone. Nope, that's wrong. I went to it full time in 1996. Walked out everything else. Okay. But there is so much information that gets missed when you're over the phone that this is why I decided with today's technology, will I do readings for people? The answer is yeah, I will. Okay. The thing is, I work with Skype, with Yahoo Messenger. I think LinkedIn works for me, and FaceTime. Okay. Yeah, well, that was what I was thinking there, Raven. I've met, and I know this sounds, I'm going to say something here that is going to sound like I'm completely out in left field. I ran into God, as in the creator that opened everything up. Okay, number one, he doesn't require, and I'll use the term he simply because it's easier than going he, she, it, they, them, what. I'm just going to go with he. Okay, he made it very clear that first and foremost, this was created so that you could actually experience life in a very definitive fashion. And you've got the same creative capacity that he has. You just don't remember it. Okay, the other issue is this. The God I met does not require worshipers. He would like you to respect his guidelines. He gave you free choice. Okay, put it to use. By the way, you created the mess on earth. He's not coming down to clean it up. Okay, this is something it took you a while to create. Now it's time to start turning it around. And quite literally, this is why I got told I had to get back to work and get out of hiding. So this is my way of doing that. Am I looking at possibly going back to work for another company? The answer is yes, but here's the thing. Okay, and this is why I'm starting to tell people, if you're looking for psychic consultation, I hate the word, by the way, but if you're looking for that kind of guideline, i.e. tarot, tarot reading, that sort of thing, that's what these funny little things are. Okay. Will I do it? Absolutely. Now, before anybody jumps on it, okay, I charge $90 an hour. Okay, which, yeah, is $3 a minute. Understand, I've been doing this since I've been doing it publicly since I was 10, as a profession, as in generating an income, since I was 23. Okay. So, am I willing to do that? I've got in excess, I worked it out one day. I've got somewhere in excess of 110,000 clients under my belt. Okay. And especially when I was working online, a good 70% of my clients were repeat clients or referrals. Now, I love the ones that would phone me up and go, nothing you told me has ever happened. I want a reading. My first comment to them is, goodbye. And I've done that to clients. I've hung up on them. Okay, but you get in trouble when you work for somebody else and hang up on them. I had somebody, they started off telling me everybody, and understand something very important. No disrespect to any of the psychic readers out there. Okay. But I had somebody phone me up and they went, "Oh, you're just agreeing with me to keep you on the line." I hung up on the person. This is while I worked for another company. Like while I worked for my last company. Just like I told you here, I'm not about to lie to you to make you feel better. Okay. Unless I am asked very specifically to do so. But if people are looking for a psychic reading, absolutely drop me a line. We will arrange a time to do it. And I'll be more than happy to go that route. And that's very much the case there. Mr. L is just saying, Raven, God's reality for us is not limited in versions for man. No, it is not. Okay, we got to remember, God created all of the stuff, all of the things that you see. And much more importantly, God's created a lot of what you see. But there is a reason behind that. And here's where it crosses over. Remember I said everything is connected? This funny little story. Now this one, okay, book 10, 11, and 12. 12 is the one I'm tying off. Are post-apocalyptic. Okay, but they're a reunification when we get back into where it all began. The fourth book in the saga. Okay, I start covering things like how did creation come about? Okay, from what I've seen. I've run into things, when you take a look at the Nords, okay, the Norse gods, those were just simply people that were really well advanced. And of course, when they showed up, they were so well advanced that mankind at the time turned around and said, you're gods. And they went, okay, treat us like gods. We're not going to complain. Ultimately correct. See, you got to remember, every single one of you in your own right is perfect. Okay, absolutely is perfect. Now, could I go down the road and turn things on end here? Like on Sundays, I have an open field where come in with whatever question you have. Okay, now if you guys wanted me to go down the road of really taking a stand and going down the road of this is what God actually meant, which by the way does not mean the Christian church is wrong or any other church. It does mean they're missing part of the picture. But then the reality is every one of the churches, every one of the spiritual guidelines has part of the truth. Okay. Now, do I remember a lot of the time that we're talking about? When you start talking about Yeshua, you call him Jesus. The reality of it is, Jesus didn't even exist as Jesus until in the English language, until the 17th century. And the reason I say that is because the J never came into existence in the English language until about the middle of the 17th century. Okay, I think it's the 18th century, but around 1750-ish. Okay, so I mean, am I willing to go down that road at this point? The answer at this point is yes. But do understand something. I am not going to go down the road of going, they did this wrong, they did that wrong. This is not about what other people have done. This is about looking at in the mirror and going, are you living a life that you are content with? And how do you get back there? And where can you get the inspiration to get back there? Okay. I mean, the reality is there's a lot of different stories in the Bible that are incomplete. Okay, they got the baseline, but they are very incomplete. And if I get word from you guys that that is the road you want me to go down, this, yes, this is my live stream. But the reality is, what you guys are seeking is far more important than what I am, aside from I was encouraged by many people off of Spaced Out Radio to come online on a solid stream. And I was told very emphatically about a year ago that it was time that I quit playing the game. And I started actually helping people realize that working together, we can make this a better world. Okay, for virtually everybody. It's going to take the work of a lot of us to do it. It's not something that's going to happen. But I will leave you with this thought. If you guys want me to do desire me to pick a day that I turn around and essentially do the same idea of picking a day and going, okay, we're going to go down this road about what God is from what I've seen, okay, and see where it meshes. Okay, where am I looking at here? Oh, if that's the road you guys desire to go down, let me know. Okay. Today, however, we are hitting the 2-hour mark. And before I get really, really sidetracked, think about it. Let me know what you think. Either drop me a private line, or when I come on, any one of these days, I will keep tabs on it. And if there's enough requests for it, then we'll go down that road. Okay, but do understand. Okay, we're talking about what I've come to understand, or more to the point, who I've come to understand is God, not necessarily what the Bible, the Quran, or any of the rest of them say. Okay, just so we're clear. Now, that being said, if you like the stream, do give us a thumbs up, do subscribe to the channel, and please share it with everybody, even the people you don't like. I don't know, maybe I can take some of them off. But I'm going to call it a night here. And thank you so much for joining me. And I do look forward to seeing you again. I won't be in tomorrow. I will be in on Friday. Okay. But until then, take care of yourselves and each other. And for pity's sakes, stay positive.